The gods have given me these powers. Now they too tremble before me. This school's mages are warriors and strategists who summon powerful artifacts forged in the lava of volcano to annihilate their enemies. Among these artifacts are the axe of Etna to tear apart the most resistant armor, the blade of Aetherios, imbued with vibrating magic, which pierces enemies, and the torturous hammer, forged with the wrath of the Titan Percy, to make the earth tremble with his heavy blows. These and other artifacts of unspeakable power accompany the enchanting mage. Key elements of the spells: kill opponents, area damage, enhance physical attacks, solve quests, power points, activating rooms, synergies between equipment, affinity with other schools, transmutation, myth, blood, divination, difficulty low to medium. Hello geeks and gamers, Geek here with another random video. Today I will be continuing my Spell Compendium series with a look at the School of Enchantment. The element types that are in this school are magic, sacred, fire, earth, and the unique any. The first starting grimoire is Violent Weaponry. You get one copy of Aetna Battle Axe, one copy of Tartar's Hammer, one copy of Bronte's Wrath, one copy of Aetherios Gladius, one copy of Violent Retort, and one copy of Dancing Blades. Is focused more on combat and direct damage with the axe, the hammer, and the gladius. The second starting grimoire is Chosen of the Agadi, tribute to Agadian, one copy of Thusa's Ring, one copy of Poseidon's Bracers, one copy of Punishment Breastplate, one copy of Dancing Blades, and one copy of Arge's Sight. With this starting grimoire, it's also equipment based like the first one, but this one focuses more on the defensive side. That we're going to take a look at is Thusa's Ring. On the straight or light side, it is a contingency spell. The element type is magical, and the target is yourself. Summon Thusa's Ring, and this allows you to draw one quest card from the current moon deck. It has the dot in the center of the spell. So you place one instability in the room you cast the spell from. On the reverse or dark side of Thusa's Ring, the spell type and element type remain the same, but the target is a star, so it's special. This side allows you to draw one quest from the current moon, similar to the first side. So if you have the ring equipped to you, instead of the first one, which only allows you to draw one quest card from the current moon, you can draw one quest card from any moon deck instead of the current one. That spell is very handy if you're going for quests as your main source of power points. So for every completed quest, you gain points equal to the reward, and there's quite a few spell schools that allow you to manipulate quests and get them. And the more quests you complete, the better off you are. So if that's your main focus, you want the ring. Here's the evocation card for Thusa's Ring. It's an equipment. And there's the little ring icon that was indicated on the spell card itself. Now, equipment are unique evocations in that they actually don't have a model of their own. When trying to destroy a piece of equipment, the model that represents the equipment is actually the mage that has it equipped. So if you want to deal damage, you focus a spell, you choose the Bronte model, but you give the damage tokens to the opponent and tell them that you want to destroy the ring instead. And it has a health of 3. The downfall with equipment is that if you are caught up in a room spell, each piece of equipment is its own separate model. So anything that would do a lot of damage can destroy quite a few pieces of equipment. And unfortunately with Bronte, or with this school of magic, equipment is very necessary for winning the game. Every time you draw a quest card, draw 2 quest cards instead. Choose one and discard the other one. The next spell in this school is Punishment Breastplate. On the straight or light side, it is a contingency spell. The element type is magical, and the target is yourself. Summon the Punishment Breastplate. All models in adjacent rooms suffer 1 damage. The spell summons another piece of equipment, and you'll notice that there is actually a theme with all these equipment spells that are an enchantment. One side actually summons a piece of equipment and does a unique effect, but then on the reverse side it has an effect that if you actually currently have it equipped to you, you can do a little bit more. So on the reverse or dark side of Punishment Breastplate, the spell type and element type remain the same, but the target is 1 model up to 1 space away. Suffer 1 damage from the target model, and then you convert 4 damage on the target model. And if you have the breastplate equipped to you, you also inflict 2 damage to the model. So when you cast the spell, you take 1 damage from the opponent, so they give you one of their cubes of their color. Then you convert 4 damage on them to your color. And if you have the breastplate equipped to you, they get another 2 damage from you. So by taking 1 damage, theoretically, you can give the opponent 6 damage of your color. Obviously you're converting up to 4, and then they're getting 2. And here's the equipment card that goes along with that. Punishment Breastplate. It has the little armor icon. So if this is in one of your evocation slots, any spells that show the icon on them get to do the bonus ability. So with this little guy, it has a health of 2, but it also has an icon with a room and a line through it. Basically, this piece of equipment is not affected by any room target type spells. So any combat spells that have the room target and damage all opposing models in the room, the breastplate will not receive any damage. Whereas the ring, if it's caught up in a room effect spell, it can receive damage. So the only way you're going to destroy the Punishment Breastplate is to have it removed by a spell, or if the opponent is actually going to target it singly with a single target model spell. And the breastplate, inflict 1 damage to whomever inflicts you with 3 or more damage with a single effect. Long story short with this one, anytime you receive 3 or more damage from an opponent, whether it be an attack or a spell, they receive 1 damage. So they hit you, and you punish them back. Very handy when used in tandem with some other equipment spells and other effects. The next spell in this school, Poseidon's Bracers. It is a contingency spell. The element type is sacred, and the target is yourself. Pretty straightforward. Summon Poseidon's Bracers, gain 1 power point. The little dot, place 1 instability in the room that it is cast from. On the reverse or dark side of Poseidon's Bracers, the spell type and element type remain the same, but the target is 1 model up to a space away. The spell allows you to change the element of 2 spells you played to any element you want. This is very handy when trying to complete your quests that actually have specific elements that are required, or if you're playing with the Elemental School of Magic. Some of the spells in the Element School require you to some of the spells in the Elemental School of Magic actually increase in power depending on the amount of that particular element is cast before it. So the bracers actually allow you to augment that to what you want, as well as if you're playing the ordeal mode. There's a couple of ordeal cards that require certain elements to be used. The bracers actually make it a lot easier to complete that for those points if you're using that mode. And you gain 1 power point, just like the top half. But if you have the bracers equipped, you gain an additional power point. So this spell is very handy in completing your quests as well as getting power points. Here are the Poseidon's Bracers. Equipment type, evocation. And there's the icon. It has a health of 3. All of your spells with the elements magical or sacred are considered any element of your choice. Not only does the spell allow you to change spell types, but any magical or sacred type spells that you have on your board are everything. Bracers are very, very handy when completing your quest cards, or ordeal, or, as I stated before, Elemental School of Magic. The next spell in the school is Aetna Battle Axe. It is a combat type spell, element type of fire, and the target is yourself. This allows you to summon the Aetna Battle Axe. You may immediately move 1 space and attack. On the reverse or dark side of Aetna Battle Axe, the spell type and element type remain the same, but the target is a model up to 2 spaces away. Inflict 2 damage to the target, move the target to an adjacent room, and if you have the axe already equipped to you, you may attack. This spell is awesome. There's no other words for it. If used with blood magic and Eliumbra and Hashimer, you can pretty much kill an opponent. So a good combination with the Battle Axe is if you have 2 of the spell in your hand, you have 1 as your quick spell, and then have the that allows you to summon it, and on the same action, because you can cast a quick spell and your first spell, use your quick spell to summon the axe, and then immediately flip it over and attack somebody. And here's the evocation card for 8 in a Battle Axe. Has a health of 3. And your next attack inflicts an additional 1. So if you're using Bronte, and you actually have control of the axe, instead of an attack of 3, your attack of 4. And if you attack twice, you can actually do 8 damage. By this point, most mages are practically dead, so this is just an overkill. The next spell in the school is Tartarus's Hammer. It is a combat type spell, element of earth, and the target is yourself. Move 1 and attack, so it's similar to the Battle Axe. It's got the dot, so you place 1 instability in the room that you cast the spell from. On the reverse, or dark side of Tartarus's Hammer, it is a combat type spell, element of earth, and the target is room type, and it's going to be from the room you're in. And if you have the hammer already equipped to you, before selecting the room, you may move 2 spaces. So normally, if you don't have the hammer, the spell effect takes effect from the room you're in. But if you have the hammer, you can move 2 before actually resolving the spell. Inflict 3 damage to all models in the target room, and 1 damage to all models in all adjacent rooms. So, similar to the Battle Axe, but not. The Battle Axe is a single model. The hammer is all opposing models. I like the hammer better because you can actually dish out a lot more damage. So, you're punishing all your opponents in the room that you're in, whether it be the room that's instantly cast from, or the room you move into if you've already have the hammer equipped. And then all opposing models in rooms that are adjacent to the one that you're in receive 1 damage. Here's the evocation card for it. It has a health of 3. And your attacks are room target type instead of single. This just makes it even more deadly. If you have the hammer and the Battle Axe equipped, not only are all of your attacks an additional 1, but they affect all opposing models in the room you're in. So they work best with Bronte, with the use of 1 action token. You attack twice. So the axe plus 1 attack. So all opposing models in the room get attacked for 4, and they get attacked for 4 again. So you do an 8 damage to all opposing models that are in your room. It's great for busting up evocations, especially that pesky dragon. Or, if someone aggravates you and makes you party with Chrono, you can actually get rid of Chrono pretty easily. I mean, it's going to take a little bit, but if you're playing with 6 people, 30 health, and you're doing 8 damage, eventually his health is going to wind down. The next spell in the school is Aetherios Gladius. It is a combat type spell. The element type is sacred, and the target is yourself. Like all the other spells that summon equipment, this one summons the Ethereal Gladius. This allows you to immediately move one space and attack. So similar to the axe and the hammer, you can activate yourself upon summoning the blade. And just like the other two pieces of equipment, it gives you a special ability. Dot, instability, room, spellcast from. On the reverse or dark side of Ethereal Gladius, the spell type and element type remain the same, but the target has an asterisk, so anywhere on the board, vacation card for Ethereal Gladius. Equipment type, and there's the sword icon. It has a health of 2. And like the breastplate, the Gladius is not affected by room spells, so anything that would damage all models don't affect this one. You remove it or focus it down with a single target spell. The range of your attacks is a single model up to 2 spaces away. So, if you have the sword, the axe, and the hammer equipped to you, you are pretty much unstoppable. This gives you a range of 2 with an increased attack of 1, as well as converting your attack type to rooms. So, when using our old pal Bronte as your mage, and you're using the equipment school, you have the hammer, the axe, and the sword in your 3 evocation slots. 1, 2, and 3. You use one of your activation tokens, you don't even have to move. You can attack one room up to 2 spaces away, twice, so all opposing models in a room up to 2 spaces away will receive 4 damage. So you can stay at a safe distance and do A damage to opposing models in a room. You don't even have to be right on top of them. And with using spells that allow you to search for equipment, or using Bronte's unique spell, that'll actually allow you to search for specific equipment, you can actually get these 3 pieces out a lot quicker. And taking a quick look back at the starting grimoires. The second one is more defensive, and the first one is more offensive. And violent weaponry is probably the better of the 2 schools, in my opinion. Especially if you're offensive, because you get 1 copy of the battle axe, hammer, and gladius. So you start off with all 3 of those spells, so you're able to summon all 3 of them. And depending on what you draw into, and if you have Bronte's unique spell, you can get them out quicker. And by the second turn of the actual game, you want to have all 3 pieces of equipment out. The next spell in this school is Starop's Intuition. It is a contingency spell, element type is sacred, and the target is yourself. Discard one of your completed or uncompleted quests to gain 1 power point. This is good if you need to get power points quickly. The negative with this side of the spell is if you're going for quests at the end of the game, you actually earn points for having the most quests, so the more quests you have completed, the more points you could possibly get. And if you happen to throw away one of your completed quests just for 1 point, you could hurt that. But if quests aren't your main thing, go ahead and discard that completed quest. On the reverse or dark side of Stirrup's intuition, all the top information remains the same. This allows you to look at the first quest of the current moon. You may solve it if you discard one of your quests and lose power points equal to the current moon. Very handy, in that it allows you to look at one quest, and if it's a really high point cost one, as far as reward for like 6, this allows you to throw away one of your quests and lose power points equal to the current moon. So if it's on the first moon, you would lose 1 point. If it's the second moon, you lose 2. And if it's the third moon, you would lose 3 points. The spell is kind of meh. The next spell in this school is Dancing Blades. On the straight or light side is a contingency spell, Element of Fire. And it's a room target type up to 1 space away. And this allows you to summon Dancing Blades in that room. On the reverse, or dark side of Dancing Blades, the spell type and element type remain the same, but the target is a single model up to 1 space away. One of your evocations gain an additional movement and a +2 attack, and can attack immediately. Remove the evocation after this action is completed. Very handy if you're focused on your evocations to actually help you win the game. This just makes them more powerful. This is very handy if you transform into the Necro Dragon, because this increases your movement by 1 and your attack by 2, and you can act immediately. And since it is one of the remove effect immune evocations, the second part of the spell won't even affect it. So you can dish out some more pain without having to worry about losing your dragon. And here's the evocation card that is summoned by the spell, Dancing Blades. It is a construct type evocation, has movement of 2, an attack of 3, and a health of 2. And the Dancing Blades can never take more than 1 damage from a single effect. Very handy when all those nice little room spells are out there flying around and dealing a lot of damage to everything. This little guy can only take 1 damage from any effect that hits it. And normally, when using the reverse side of the Dancing Blades spell, obviously the Dancing Blades evocation is going to be more than likely the one that gets used. So the movement and attack is increased, so it would have a movement of 3 and an attack of 5. Very potent spell. And there are 3 copies of this evocation. And here's a quick peek at all 3 of the models. I've kind of painted them up, each one slightly differently, just to break up the monotony of the colors. This one's painted with a little bit more lighter green, with a bit more of a bright orange. This one's more of a aqua color with the bright orange. And this one was more of a metallic emerald green with the bright orange. So similar, but slightly different. With all 3 of them with Bronte, the Artificer. The next spell in this school is Violent Retort. It's a shield spell. element of fire, and the target is yourself. Reduce next damage suffered by 2. +1 for each evocation you have. So the next time you receive damage, you reduce it by 2, plus an additional 1 for each evocation. So possibly, depending on the number of evocations, if you're using Bronte, obviously you're going to have 3 equipment, or you could possibly have one of the dancing blades. You can reduce the next damage that you get hit with by 5, which is very handy. Because if you have those 3 offensive pieces of equipment out, you're going to get focused. This is one of those schools which is similar to trickery, where it paints a big bullseye on your back. The reverse or dark side of Violent Retort. The spell type remains the same. The element is changed to earth, and the target remains the same. This allows you to ignore the next trap you trigger. Inflict 2 damage, +1 for each evocation you have, to the mage who owns the trap. So like the first side, the more evocations you have, you can do up to 5 damage to the person who owns the trap. The spell is very awesome as a shield. The spell is very awesome to place in your quick spell slot. Like most shield spells are. How this works is, you place a shield token on it, and being in your quick spell slot, you can use either side, so you have more versatility when the shield is actually activated, so you can do it for damage, or you can do it for when the trap is activated. More options are always best. The next spell in the school is Tribute to a Guardian. It is a contingency spell, the element of fire, and the target has got the star, so it's a special. Another of your quests. Discard one of your uncompleted quests to complete another of your quests from the same moon deck. Gain only half of the PowerPoint prize, rounded down, minimum of 1, so you're always going to get at least 1 point. And then you complete the completed, and then you keep the completed quest. This is one of those kind of meh situational ones. If you're really banking on quest cards and you need the points, or if the reward is on your quest is very beneficial. Normally I personally would not use this spell. And the reverse, or dark side, to tribute to a Guardian. The spell, element, and target all remain the same. Look at the first 3 quests of the current moon. You may lose 1 power point for each quest you want to draw. Place the others at the bottom of the deck. This side of the spell is better than the straight side, because it allows you to look at 3 quests. Keep 2, unless there is a way you can increase the number of quests you can have. All at the cost of 1 power point. But still, it's situational, because power points are precious. And unless you're going to benefit from the sacrifice of the point, meh. If I have this spell, it's usually cannon fodder for the Black Rose Room. The next spell in this school is Arge's Sight. It's a contingency spell. The element type is magical, and the target is a room up to 3 spaces away. This allows you to activate the target room. You may lose one power point to activate another room adjacent to the one you selected. Now this is a very handy spell when used with other schools, such as Omnia. This is amazing, where you don't actually have to be in the Black Rose room to activate it. You can be 3 spaces away from it. Or 4 if you want to activate another room. On the reverse, or dark side of Arge's site, it's a known misprint. The effect was printed upside down on the reverse side of the spell. So it's a contingency spell. The element type is everything, and the room and the target type remains the same. Activate target room. If you complete a quest before the end of the turn, you may draw 1 card from the grimoire, the library, or the current moon. You may draw 1 card from the grimoire, the library, or a current moon quest. The final spell in this school is Bronte's Wrath. It's a combat spell. The element type is magical, and it's a model up to 2 spaces away. Target an evocation. Remove it. The owner suffers 2 damage. Got the dot. Instability in the room that the spell is cast from. On the reverse or dark side of Bronte's Wrath, all the top information remains the same. Inflict 2 damage to the target model. Ignore shield spells. Heal yourself 1. This is the big single damage spell from this school. And it is powerful. I give it a 9 out of 10. Just for the sheer fact that some of the quest spells in here are very situational and they're kind of meh. But, and in order to be very effective with your equipment, you have to have all 3 of them out. So it's a very fun school to play. Straightforward. There's not a lot of thinking involved, unlike Trickery, where you have to be on your toes and keep up with all your spells and stuff. This one you can kind of slough off a little bit. As always, the normal YouTube stuff. Like, subscribe, comment, click the bell icon if you like my content. And until the next video, this is Geek, signing out.